Hey everybody, it is Saturday morning and it is a beautiful sunny day. I've actually got work to do today, but I did want to take a few minutes to stroll around the yard. We've got a few key flowers in bloom right now and I want to make sure we get them on video before they've done and passed their prime. So my favorite probably are these black iris. Now it's unfortunate that right now they're not really in the sun. These don't really get sun on them until much later this afternoon, but you can see some of them have already started to pass their prime. And they are just stunning. This one's actually getting a little bit of sun, kissing the edge of it there. See if we can take a step up. Really beautiful plant. And of course they're the bearded iris, so when you open them up they've got all those little fuzzy beards on the inside. And I think, like I said, they're probably my favorite in the yard. We've got our black and blue salvia going. This is another really pretty one. It's black when the flower is closed up, but then once the flower opens, comes out to be more of a purpley blue color. That's another one of my favorites. Really dark flowers like that are just very uncommon, and they always make a huge statement whenever you see them. In fact, we've got a couple more of the black iris right up here, and maybe we'll see them when we get up to the top side and go around the back. Over here we have our very last gold iris. And these are the ones that I really wanted to get on video, and unfortunately we're down to our last one and it has already passed its prime. But these also get late afternoon sun and they just looked amazing. Beautiful flowers, but you get the idea at least. Our little rose back there, I can never remember the name of that. I think it is Martha Stewart, but it's probably not. It's some name like that. Martha Washington, I don't know. Me and my wife joke about it all the time because I always get the name wrong. But it's a really pretty rose and it's doing fantastic this year. Now, one thing I will point out is my regular viewers know that I spray deer repellent for a living. I have my own company. And this is the first year I've actually had to start spraying my own property. We have been getting a lot of deer damage. And so this weekend is going to be another time for me to get out and spray. I'm starting to get a little bit of damage now. So that'll be something for this afternoon or for tomorrow. We have foxglove starting to bloom. We have also decided that we are going to let this whole hill just go, not wild per se, but we're going to make it so that we don't have to mow up here anymore. I hate this hill. We've hated it for years. It doesn't really come out on camera how much of a hill it is, but it's enough of a hill that when I mow across it, I have to sit sideways on the side of the seat of the tractor to keep from rolling sideways down the hill. And we are going to allow these green hostas to sort of flow down the hill like they've been doing. They're almost completely covering it now. And we're also plugging in other stuff along the way. And these foxglove are one of the things that are sort of self-seeding and plugging themselves in as they go along. And we do have more than just this one color. We'll see some more as we make our way around the yard. But these white ones are really stunning in the sun too. We've got black-eyed Susans and coneflowers planted in here. We're waiting to see them come up. And again, lots and lots of good summer flowers on the way. All these hostas will have flowers on them soon enough. And so we've still got a long way to go before we're into full peak flower. I would be remiss if I did not point out this one. This is going to be amazing. This is I can't remember the name of it either. It's another type of salvia, but it is a proven winner. It's been specially bred to be like huge and bushy and gigantic. So this one is going to way outgrow that little pot that it's in. It's just going to be an explosion of that sort of fuchsia color. That's one of the names. It's something fuchsia is the name of it. So we got that. We've got these that haven't even gotten in the ground. We actually just went out yesterday and picked up these, so they all have to find homes. Those have to find homes. And there's little Princess Sassafras sitting under the chair. I think I already mentioned we're going out when I get home from work this afternoon and picking up a couple of kittens. If I didn't, then that's what my afternoon plans are. We're getting 2 new 8-week-old kittens today, so that'll be fun. Some more of that fuchsia salvia, a little bit of the black and blue salvia in there with it. My wife spends a lot of time every year putting together planters. We position them around the yard, make a few hanging planters, that sort of thing. All this is rudbeckia. We got this all over the place. That is black-eyed Susan, and that is the Maryland State Flower. These are some pansies that are left over from last fall. They actually overwintered and survived. Did not get our allium on video. I showed it when it was coming up, and now it's done past its prime and gone. And even the seed head still looks like a firework caught in mid explosion, but when it's actually in bloom, these allium look amazing. Really like them a lot too. Not too much going on over here. We're past our peonies. We already have a huge bouquet of them in the house. The entire house just reeks of peony. It's amazing. So the peonies are all done and past their prime. We had a few iris that either haven't done anything yet or are just not going to this year. Not really sure what's going on with that. Our Rose of Sharon are still a long way from going. All these trees you see are Rose of Sharon. We have them all lining the driveway and all surrounding the property, so we got mad flowers coming from all that. All of the daylily in here, all these tiger lily, these all have yet to go, so mad flowers coming from there. Hydrangea has not started yet, so again, just lots and lots of flowers on the way. I stuck that little border in, put a little color along the edge down there. That's doing okay. Our clematis is doing good, and this has buds all over. It's covered in them, so that is going to look amazing over the next couple of weeks as it starts to really take off and all those flowers start to go. Of course, tiger lilies, we got tiger lilies galore. If anybody wants any tiger lilies, you can contact me. My email's down below. These are prolific breeders. If you will look, you can already see the little bulbs starting. Every single one of these nodes will develop a little flower bulb, and I have hundreds of these, and each one produces hundreds of bulbs, and so you can do the math. I have lots and lots and lots and lots of tiger lilies. If anybody wants any, I can mail you a bag of them. You throw them on the ground and you'll have tiger lilies growing there forever. They spread around, you'll have tiger lilies forever. So check my email down below if you're interested, and I can get some of them shipped off to you. This is our other, when they're ready, of course, that'll be later in the summer, but if anybody's interested, please let me know. I would love to send you some of those tiger lilies. That's our other clematis, one of our other clematis. We do have one more up at the top of the yard. That's a good looking one. Hostas, daylily, iris, more tiger lily. We really have to get in and divide this hosta up. We've been talking about it for 2 seasons now, and yet it's still just this mad clump of hostas. We could probably take 4 or 5 large hosta out of here and still leave one hosta that was, would cover and fill that whole area, and then have enough to start moving it around all over the place. Another butterfly bush, not doing anything yet. More daylilies. Now these are different daylilies, and you can see, well, maybe you can't see. If I get in close enough, you can kind of see. These are getting their flower heads on them already, so soon we will be seeing daylilies. We usually get the daylilies starting to go around June, but we had a really cool spring this year, and I think we finally got into warm weather. We just kind of skipped over the later part of spring. We had cool weather, and now it's supposed to be 95 degrees today, so we should be into the summer weather. And that should send everything into hyperdrive as far as like blooming and growing and all that. So this is another foxglove. This is one of our pink, red, purple, whatever you want to call that color. More iris. Lots of flag lily. I showed some of these out at the reservoir the other day. That one's pretty much done, but we will see a few more that are currently blooming. In fact, we can walk right up to this little island here and see lots of them that are still currently blooming. And if you hear that weird hum off in the distance, it's these cicadas. These are the brood 10. They're smaller than the ones we see annually. They're earlier than the ones we see annually. They have a much darker, almost a black body, and they got those beady little red eyes, and that's how you can identify the brood 10. Completely harmless. They're not even capable of hurting me if they wanted to. They don't have any way of biting or chewing. They don't damage plants or anything else. They just spend 17 years in the ground. They come out, they spend a couple of weeks in a mad frenzy of trying to mate, and then they die. And then 17 years later, the whole thing happens again. Fascinating little bugs, but they are really annoying. I don't know if you can hear that sort of weird hum off in the distance. Sounds like a sort of high-pitched whining noise, but that's the cicadas. I don't really have a lot here directly in our neighborhood, but they are not far away. You can certainly hear them, and a lot of my customers have them heavily in their neighborhood, so I've experienced quite a lot of them so far this year. There's another one right there. Again, we don't have them too much, but I've got customers' properties where I walk along the ground and you can just hear the crunching. You just try not to think about what's crunching under your feet as you walk, but there's that many of them that you're literally crunching along the ground as you walk. But it only happens once every 17 years, so it's not too bad. This is that spiderwort stuff. I actually saw this growing out wild at the reservoir the other day, and I commented that a lot of my customers have this growing on their property, but I did not even realize that we too have it growing on ours. I don't know if that got there wild or if we ever planted that. I don't ever remember planting that. So this is just coming around the top side. Up here, this once upon a time was a fern garden. I used to have paths, and there was a bench back there. I had a fire pit. There were some paths back here. You can see we have our decorative bowling balls, and there's some hostas growing back through the fern. We had a big tree fall down. You can kind of still see it right there. And it fell across all my paths, and it just really got in the way and just kind of wrecked everything, and I kind of just stopped going up there, and before you know it, we lost interest, and now it's just completely overgrown. But that all used to be a big fern garden up there, and there's all kind of little hidden stuff, little daffodils and stuff that come up in the spring, little paths. And again, once upon a time there was a bench and a fire pit and all kinds of stuff up there. I used to light lanterns and put little lanterns underneath of the fern at night and have all that nice soft glow coming through the fern. It was really pretty. That's back when I was a lot more enthusiastic about doing stuff out in the yard, when I was much a younger man. It's too much work now. More flag lilies up here. That's what all these are. You can see the last couple ones blooming down there. And again, this is just the top side of that garden that we're just sort of allowing all this stuff to just sort of flow. These plain green hostas that we're not really a huge fan of, but we have a lot of these plain green hostas, and these self-seed. They self-propagate like crazy. We do have other hosta that self-propagates, but not like those. And so we've got so many of those green ones. We literally treat them like weeds a lot of times. We just tear them up and throw them away. But it is coming in useful in the fact that they're just flowing down the hill, and they're just going to cover that hill. It's weird. It's like watching a slow motion cascade. Every season the wave goes a little further down the hill. These blue hostas are another one that, if you were wondering about it, are very prolific at self-seeding and getting themselves going. So here you can see a little bit of my deer damage. They're up here eating these hostas. So we do like these blue hosta. The only problem is, once again, you can only have so many of them before you get tired of having the same hosta everywhere. So we do have a ton of those, and we are trying to incorporate them around, but we've got lots and lots of other hostas, so we've been trying to plug those in different places too. This little Japanese maple we bought, it was 2 years old when we bought it. I got it for $15 from the guy. He sold it to me because he said it wasn't ready yet. It was only 2 years old, and he normally grew them for $4, but I was there and it was the only one he had left, so he said go ahead and take it. He charged me $15 for it, and that was almost 20 years ago. And you can see how beautiful and shapely that has turned out to be, and how compact and small it is. It's a really, really slow growing ornamental Japanese maple. So that was $15 well spent all those years ago. I love that tree. And again, just more hostas. We have a very shady yard, so we're kind of limited. We do a lot of astilbe, a lot of corbel, a lot of hosta. Hydrangea does okay here. We have some of those. Daylilies do amazing here, so we have lots of those. We've been working on cutting back some of our bamboo. I don't know if you have noticed or not, but all this stuff back here, all the stuff that's between us and the neighbors is all bamboo. Got some more foxglove right here. I know this looks like weeds, but these are all daisies that we have been deliberately allowing to grow. We gotta watch our step as we walk through here. Just coming down, having a little closer look at what all's going on in here. Got some new coral bells. Those coral bells down there are really attractive. I'll never ever be able to spend enough time in one video to just go around the yard and show you everything and talk about it all and so on and so forth. We don't even have time when the wife and I come out and walk around the yard. We might spend an hour out here walking around and we still don't get to look at all the stuff we want to look at, or point out all the different flowers we've done, or the progress they've made. We have stuff, little nooks and crannies and stuff hidden everywhere. So I'm doing my best to give you the basics of the good stuff, and we're gonna keep on sort of moving along. Again, just little beds all over the place, nothing particularly special in any of these. Hosta, daylily, burning bushes, etc. More bamboo that we're cutting down. These are some of the shoots that have come up this year. We've knocked them down so that they don't. That's an older one. That's hard. That's like wood. But these are new and soft. So that's a brand new shoot that came up this spring. So we definitely have lots of problems with the bamboo. Now mostly it gets mowed. All this stuff up here will send its runners come down into the yard, and so I have to basically mow all this stuff to keep them in check. You can see like this piece here is brand new. It hasn't even opened up yet, and it's soft enough that I can do that with it. So I'll have to come up here and get rid of that piece, but that's a new shoot of bamboo that has just sprung out of the ground a couple of weeks ago, and it's already that big. There's a couple more right here. Again, you can see they're not even starting to unfurl yet. They're still just straight stalks of bamboo. It's crazy to think that's grass, but it is. That's just grass. So getting down to the good stuff. This is probably the bed that we spend the most time on, and credit where credit is due. When I say we, I mean mostly my wife. My wife spends a lot of time working in this garden. I spend some time working in this garden, but not like she does. She's been putting a lot of effort into this garden, especially the last year or so that we've been spending a lot of time around the house. She has been spending a lot of that time working in the gardens. One thing I did do was we sort of channeled out this tree here, and my wife planted some fern and some creeping jenny in there, and we're going to let that start sort of growing and taking over, and we're just going to allow that tree stump to become incorporated into the garden for more of a natural look. Oh, all of our bleeding hearts are all done. They're going to get all cut back pretty soon. We'll have a giant gaping hole in the garden like we do every year when the bleeding heart die off. Here's another big bleeding heart right here. There's going to be a giant hole right there when that dies back in another week or two. So this garden's got lots of astilbe, and we've got some coral bells over here. Obviously we've got a ton of hostas. This is the chocolate area. A lot of these plants are chocolate astilbe. I'm not sure what that is, but it's a chocolate whatever it is. This is a chocolate coral bell. Don't know what this one is. This is a coral bell, but it's a new coral bell that we just got, and it's really, really crazy looking for a coral bell. But that is a coral bell. A little bit of yard art, little turtle. We've got some toads or frogs around the place. Again, more hosta, more astilbe. So far, no deer damage over here. That's good. More astilbe. And oddly, we had one daffodil pop up the other day. No idea what that's doing, but we have a daffodil in the yard. Our daffodils passed weeks ago, and apparently I have one late bloomer. And lots of hosta on the still bee. Again, if you start looking in all the little nooks and crannies, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. We just moved some ghost fern over here, and there it is. So that's ghost fern. This right here is ghost fern, and somewhere is a larger. I got 3 chunks of it. I got the main body, and then I got those 2 little pieces, and I don't remember where I put the main body of it. So maybe we'll find some ghost fern. This is Japanese painted fern, and that is also a prolific rebreeder, I'll say. That fern doesn't put out seeds, it puts out spores. But we have little baby Japanese painted ferns coming up all over the place in the borders of the property. Around the edges, we've got a bunch of them coming up over here in this garden. So we've got a lot of the Japanese painted fern, which is awesome. You can see we've got a ton of these little micro hosta. That is a full-grown hosta. These here are micro hostas. These don't get any bigger than that. And I'm not going to try to remember all the names of the different types of hostas. We have, I don't know, 25 different species of hosta or different cultivars through here. You can see we got more of that Japanese painted fern. Again, we just have that stuff everywhere. You can see it here, you can see it here. We got tons of it down there. It's just all over the place. This is our new oak leaf hydrangea. The deer love them, and this of course is the side of the yard that the deer move up and move through, so we got to really do a lot of protection over here. So even though I am spraying that with my repellent, I'm putting an added layer of protection over top of it. When deer feed, they always come in and down from the top. You'll never get deer coming in from the side. Rabbits, groundhogs, gophers, they'll come in this way. Deer always come in and down from the top. So usually just putting a screen over top of something will stop the deer from damaging it and still allow for the plant to grow and bush out on the sides a bit. So that's all I'm doing, just a little added protection. I am spraying it with my repellent, so that should be enough, but this is just going to ensure that this one particular plant that we really want to see establish and get, you know, rooted in and growing has a chance to. We only planted that last year, so we're really giving that some time to get good and established before we take the cage away from it. Lots of good stuff over here. We recently cleaned out this whole area and cleared all the brush and everything, so this garden is basically in the process of just expanding down there and into the woods. So these yard tours are probably going to get larger, longer, and more elaborate as time goes on, because the gardens keep doing that. That is an autumn fern. That's another one of our favorites. We really like that. We're trying to get that one to propagate, but we just never seem to find any offspring or anything. We got more micro hosta right there, and of course if we turn around, this little bed right here is full of different micro hostas. That one is a self reseeder. That's another one that's propagating itself. We didn't buy a patch of those, we bought one of those, but you can see how they're spreading out and growing. That's mouse ears or school mouse or something. There's another, I think that's a blue mouse ears. Got more Japanese painted ferns. And like I said, we could just go on and on and on looking at all the little nooks and crannies and all the little hidden spots. Got more of the Japanese painted fern. That's another one of our new hostas. That one's called Wee. That's actually the name of the hosta, and it does have an exclamation point at the end. These are 2 of our newer hostas as well. I like that one. One's called Squiggles and Wiggles, and the other one is one that I cannot remember the name of. I even sent my wife a text the other day with the name of it on there so that she wouldn't forget it, but I've now forgotten it. So those are different, believe it or not. This one and that one are different types of hostas. And then out here we've got a bunch more of the micro hostas going on. Bunch more of the microhostas over here. You can see them. This one is really interesting. And we're going to call that good for that. This is a really long yard tour. Not a lot going on over here, just little odds and ends, fire barrel, potter's planting bench where we do our dividing and seeding and all that kind of good stuff. This is another little area that I'm tired of cutting. I have to mow down the hill and around and come back up the hill. I know it doesn't really show it, but that is down a hill right there. And so I've planted some grass along the border, some ornamental zebra grass, and then we're going to start plugging hosta and different stuff in here. Maybe just do like long grass, let it go wild like a meadow. We might do wildflowers in there. I'm not sure what we're going to do there just yet. The hydrangea over there. We got all kind of good stuff going on. Over here, my wife has planted some caladiums in that tree stump. That tree stump's actually deep and full of mulch and bedding stuff. It's really, really rich. So we should have some stuff coming up in the middle of that anytime now. And that brings us all the way back around to where we started, more or less. We've got some odds and ends here that still need to go in the ground. A few little odds and ends over there that still need to go in the ground. Some seeds getting started here. So we're not fully done with getting the garden going yet, but we are into June now, so we are kind of wrapping up and getting everything set for the rest of the summer. And then we're going to get back and just enjoy it and watch it unfold. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that rather lengthy yard tour. But as the summer gets going, like I said, we're going to have lots and lots of flowers coming up pretty soon. So these are going to get even better as they go along. So thanks again. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.